Centralia, Pennsylvania was founded and first incorporated as a borough in 1866 by a man named Alexander Ray. Ray was a mining engineer who worked for the Locust Mountain Coal and Mining Company. The town was built and centered around the coal mines in the area. At the time of its founding, Centralia had approximately 1,300 residents. On October 17, 1868, Alexander Ray was ambushed and murdered as he traveled by horse and buggy from the town of Mount Carmel to Centralia. His murder remained unsolved until March of 1878, when it was learned that the three men who killed him were members of the Irish secret society, known as the Molly Maguires. This group was known for committing violent acts to bring about change to the low wages and harsh working conditions that Irish immigrants faced in the mines, and sought to force the mining companies to unionize. Despite the reputation of the Molly Maguires, their focus on improving working conditions for miners was noteworthy. They did aim to improve conditions for the exploited, even those as young as 8 years old who had to work long hours in harsh, dangerous conditions for minuscule wages. A priest by the name of Father Daniel Ignatius McDermott spoke out against the Molly Maguires and the town citizens for supporting them. Consequently, members of the Molly Maguires retaliated and assaulted Father McDermott one dark night in the St. Ignatius Church Cemetery. As the legends go, this prompted Father McDermott to decree a curse upon Centralia, declaring that the town would eventually be obliterated. Was this a catalyst for things to come in Centralia? Being a miner was full of health hazards and dangers. Men and boys were often injured on the job and often faced with little medical care and sent home to hopefully recover or die. In the mid to late 1800s, the Pennsylvania state-owned and operated Miners' Hospital opened in Ashland, Pennsylvania, which is very close to Centralia. This hospital originally saw only workers injured in the mines, on the railroads or textile factories. It was not until the 1900s that it accepted members of the population with illnesses or women and children. In 1967, this building was demolished, and a new building was built. In the 1990s, private owners acquired the hospital, which became known as the Ashland Regional Medical Center. From 2006 to its closing in 2012, a new owner renamed it to St. Catherine Medical Center, Fountain Springs. It has sat vacant and abandoned since that time. But some say that its prior patients who have passed remain permanent and active residents. Our visit there confirmed the potential for the presence of tortured souls who succumbed to injuries and illness within its walls. Going back to Centralia, the real story of this town starts with the underground mine fires that forever changed the entire town and surrounding area. In the mid-1960s, the town of Centralia was using a certain empty strip mine pit as a landfill dump. This landfill caught on fire, and the fire expanded into an opening in the pit, catching the maze of underground mine tunnels and deposits to catch on fire. How this fire started is unconfirmed, and there are several differing theories about its origin. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, the effects of the underground fire became apparent. Smoke started rising out of the ground, impacting residents with noxious fumes. Underground gas tank temperatures became elevated. Eventually, sinkholes started forming and a 12-year-old boy fell into a hole but was thankfully rescued. An entire 1-mile stretch of Route 61, famously known as Graffiti Highway, buckled from the heat and earth transformations. This road section was blocked off from the public, and a new section of Route 61 was constructed. Area residents started leaving. Those who refused to leave were forced out by eminent domain in the early 1990s. The nearby town Byrnesville was faced with the same dangers and fate. As of 2024, the total census population for Centralia was 5 people. The streets of Centralia now sit abandoned and overgrown with weeds and brush. Remnants, such as curbs and manhole covers of once thriving neighborhoods, remain. 2 residential structures remain, most likely housing the current 5 residents. 2 cemeteries also remain. And the abandoned section of Route 61 is now covered with mounds of dirt to deter visitors. However, sections of its graffiti-covered pavement can be spotted among the dirt. Centralia has a certain vibe, almost an otherworldly vibe. This is perhaps why it inspired the well-known Silent Hill game and movie. Witnesses have reported seeing the murdered town founder Alexander Ray walking the deserted streets of Centralia. People have also reported seeing minor spirits crawling out of the ground, as well as dark, ominous creatures darting through the streets at night. Other accounts are of people hearing disembodied voices telling them to leave the town. It is for these reasons that Centralia has been called the Gates of Hell. The ghosts of those who met their fate in the mines don't only haunt Centralia, but also its nearby hospital in Ashland. The now abandoned shell holds its own stories and is filled with the energies from the souls who passed through it. There are stories of sick and injured miners roaming its halls, and one permanent resident is most notable, a very young miner boy who was reported to visit ill patients in their beds at night. One last thing. While we were exploring the abandoned medical center, we entered a corridor section on the 3rd floor. While in the middle of exploring this corridor, we heard a loud metal bang on the opposite end of the hall. After the bang, heavy footsteps started approaching. We were not going to stick around to find out who it was, or what it was. We quickly fled the building, and when on the 1st floor, a loud alarm was blaring from outside the building. Once safe in our car, we questioned what had just happened. No person was visible in the video of the hallway, so what could have made the sound and the footsteps? Was this the ghost of a miner who was angry we were disrupting their eternal sleep, or potentially trying to warn us of the sounding alarm outside? Could it have been the ghost of many of the past residents of Centralia, or perhaps a person who was alive with ill intent? We will let you decide. So, fellow horror fans, would you be brave enough to walk the streets of this former ghost town? Or perhaps enter this former medical center? Comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like these.